Hi, everybody. So good to be here with you. I just finished IG Live and I'm like always debating, do I do IG Live first or do I come on here first and then go to IG Live? And so let's see what we think after today. I was sharing with them that I had a really fun weekend with my husband. We got to go out to Sacramento with the Warriors organization and see the game. And unfortunately, the Warriors lost to the Kings. But I was also happy for the Kings because they haven't made a playoff in, I don't know, it's debating somewhere between 16 and 19 years. I don't know the exact number. And so it's always nice to like feel kind of the home crowd and the excitement and the energy that really surrounded the team in this really beautiful place, and for them to be able to bring it home. So even though it's not my team, it was a really great experience because it's always a reminder that energy is so incredibly potent. And that's why we always talk about like the importance of having this really beautiful energy in your life and how that's the energy of creation. So, um, I'll just start by first saying hello. I'm Brandi. I'm a happiness coach. Everybody knows kind of the fundamentals of how to be happy, right? We talk about meditation and prioritizing relationships that are really important to us and practicing gratitude. By the way, I have a gratitude webinar tomorrow at 4:15 Pacific Standard Time. You're going to have the link in the bio right here. There's still time to sign up, and we would absolutely love for you to join us. It's not going to be your everyday gratitude webinar that we're really going to talk about these 5 unique things that can help really differentiate your gratitude practice and help you up level your life and manifest in this much better way. So sign up for the webinar. You do need to sign up in advance to jump on, but hopefully I'll see you all there tomorrow. Okay. I digressed a little bit as I was talking about how we understand the fundamentals of being happy, but there's just still so many of us that aren't happy, right? And so I teach people how to apply these core fundamentals in a way that actually work for them. And additionally, I have a gift of helping people bring awareness to that which is unknown and really interfering with them truly being happy. And this allows, those of you who've checked all the boxes of success and achievement, you're very financially secure, but you're always kind of searching to finally cultivate true happiness. And the unintended consequence of making happiness a goal versus an outcome is that when you cultivate this true happiness, that which you're seeking really comes easier to you. So kind of all of these things, achievement, success, financial abundance, they're all going to align much easier in your life when you prioritize happiness and change that paradigm. It really is such a gift. And I love partnering with humans around kind of seeing blissfully the impact that it can have on their life. And, as client number one, I can tell you it makes a significant difference in how you traverse the world. So I want to bring that to as many humans as possible in my lifetime. And one of the things that can really improve our happiness set point, right? Because we all have this happiness set point that we are essentially rotating around very consistently, and we want to raise that set point. And one thing that can really do that is this idea of forgiveness. So we'll talk a little bit about the importance of forgiving, like what is forgiveness, which I'm sure you all know, the importance of forgiveness, how it impacts our lives, and then I'll walk you through this 4-step process around forgiveness. So let's go. First and foremost, forgiveness is really the act of letting go of resentment, anger, and desire for revenge towards someone that has hurt us in some perceived way. And it's not always easy to forgive, but it's essential for your own mental health and happiness. So you forgive others, you forgive for you. You let go of those negative emotions and you create space for this really for this more positive feelings, and also for these higher vibration emotions of creation. So when you think of the emotions of joy and of happiness, those are the emotions of creation, right? And when we're kind of ruminating and sitting with these emotions of revenge, shame, guilt, and fear, those are hindering emotions. They don't allow us to as easily create and align with that which we're seeking. And so again, we forgive for others. And why is that so important, right? Excuse me, I misspoke. We forgive for ourselves, not for others. And why is that so important? Because it's going to really reduce stress in our life. It's going to improve our mental health. And it's also going to help us create these beautiful and much stronger relationships, right? So when we look through this lens of empathy and compassion and kind of understanding and start to forgive people, and we have a really good understanding about why we're forgiving, that allows us to more often have empathy and compassion, because what we will see is that sometimes the act is being perpetrated against you, and sometimes you're the perpetrator. We are all not perfect in this experience in the world. And so there will be some times where you need to be forgiven, and there will be some times where you are doing the forgiving. And the more you do this exercise and actually sit with these emotions and have a beautiful understanding of it, the more you're going to have empathy and compassion for others, because you're going to realize these are really central to the human experience. All right. So first and foremost, how can we think about it like positively impacting our lives? I spoke about this a little at the start, but at the end of the day, when you have these situations that you're really kind of sitting around and reflecting on, for me, for example, I oftentimes in my formative years, the earliest version of myself, I was really in this place where I oftentimes blamed others for the experiences that I was having in my life. And when you are in this place of consistently blaming others and not really acknowledging that most interactions require two people, then you are in this place of blame, but you're also harboring lots and lots of ill will, right? So every time there was friction in my life, I looked at it as black and white. One person was wrong, one person was right. Most time the other person was wrong and I was right. Let's be clear. And so the unintended consequence of that is that I was then harboring so much anger in my life. And so when I went about unpacking that, it really put me in this beautiful, beautiful energy where I realized that kind of this lighter, happier version of me was also able to show up in the world in a really beautiful way and to more easily align with my goals. So now I have a life that is full of synchronicities, that is really easy, and it flows in a way that it never could when I was kind of like looking for the bad guy in kind of all of these situations. So hopefully you'll see as you continue, because I'm sure we've all started this on this forgiveness journey, that you'll be happier and happier and lighter and lighter. So now let's walk through kind of the how of forgiveness. It really is a process, and it's important that we go through each step in the process, right? Because each step allows us to really connect better with ourselves and be in a place of true forgiveness versus kind of when we're really just suppressing things or repressing things and not actually moving through them in a way that we're dealing with them. Okay. So the first step is to acknowledge that someone caused you hurt and pain, right? Period. So we don't want to just say, oh, it was nothing, I'm over it. Because if in that moment of the exchange or of the situation, you felt emotions, now is not the time to look back and be like, maybe I overreacted. Perhaps you did, but you still want to ask yourself, what emotions did that situation trigger for me? And we want to get really good at naming our emotions. I had found early in my life, I wasn't so great at naming my emotions, right? Like I was like mad or happy, right? It was just like these two really kind of opposite opposing emotions. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to be able to stipulate like, am I sad? Do I feel shameful? Do I feel betrayed? Do I feel fearful? Do I feel angry? Like, what is the specific emotion that this situation has caused for me? And when I'm able to name it, then I can then really go deep into understanding why I got to that place. Really, really important that we name our emotions. Okay. So the second step from there is really important. Don't skip this step, is to make a decision to forgive. You make a decision to forgive, right? So we co-create our lives. We are intentional with how we move forward. And so we make a decision. And that doesn't mean that they need to apologize. It doesn't require any action from the other human. It just requires you to make a decision. It also doesn't require that you forgive that or forget, excuse me, that you forget, that you move on, that you repair the relationship to perhaps how it was in the past, or that you excuse the behavior. You are just saying, I am making a decision to forgive because I no longer want to harness, hold on to these dense emotions. And it's more important to me that I move forward, right? So anytime we are reflecting on the past or part of the past kind of has a hold on us, we cannot move as quickly forward into the future version of ourselves that we desire to align with, right? So really want to make that decision to forgive as a means of fast tracking your own life in the direction that you're looking to go. And the third step is to let go of anger and resentment. Now, this step is sometimes the most challenging aspect, right? So I'm going to talk more specifically about this step, a couple ways that we can do that. If it's something more simple, right, that someone canceled on you at the last minute, or, someone agreed to watch your kids and didn't show up, or someone said that they were going to do their portion of a group project and they didn't kind of deliver in timeliness or as thorough as you thought, perhaps just some self-reflection will allow you to move through that and kind of get to the other side. And then there's obviously, things that are kind of like a step up from that, feel a little more tricky for us. They were more triggering for us. And sometimes we can move through those kind of through meditation. And then there's things that are pretty dense that may involve kind of these longer term friends or family members. And for those situations, I oftentimes take the route of journaling. I think journaling is a beautiful way of kind of getting all my feelings out. And I journal as though I'm writing a letter to the other human, expressing all of my angst and anger and fears, all the things that the situation created in my being. And I articulate that very quickly, clearly, as though I have kind of no filter at all. I just want to tell them directly kind of how this situation made me feel. And then I do that. And for me, I either then at that point rip it up or I burn it as a way of like releasing it back to the universe. And then it is important that I share that for those kind of really big, traumatic things that may or may not have happened in your life, but if they have happened in your life, it may be the most logical step would be to speak with a therapist and someone who is really trained in helping you kind of move through those bigger, more dense emotions that are often multifactorial, right? And then, so once we kind of take that step of really letting go of anger and resentment and walking through a process that allows us to do that, then finally that fourth step is really to practice empathy and compassion towards the other person, right? And so you want to be in this position where you realize that, again, we're all human. We all have done things in our life that we probably need to apologize for and be forgiven for. And we've had things done to us on the contrary. And it really allows us to practice empathy and compassion. So for those of you who don't know, I have a 6-year-old Charlie, and when he comes home and says someone was mean to him on the playground or someone wasn't kind to him, what I say to them is they must have been having a bad day. And why do I know that? Because hurt people hurt people. When people are healthy and healed and whole, they don't hurt people. It just isn't in them. So hurt people hurt people. And I tell him in those moments to make sure that he and I pause and we send them love. We send them love, loving, healing energy as part of his bedtime routine. Oh, I have a great question here in the comments from Valerie. Can you be negative towards the other person in your journaling? Absolutely. In that journal, we're going back now to step 3, but I want to make sure that I answer this. Like, as we're reflecting and really trying to release the anger and resentment, we do want to get it all out, right? Because we're getting it kind of out of our head and into the universe. And this allows us to release it. Otherwise, it stays in our body and in our mind. And that's where it creates chaos in our lives. So you can be and say whatever you've been thinking or feeling for these days, years, months, decades about this situation. You want to put that in your journal. Thank you so much, Valerie, for asking that question, because it is actually a critical aspect of the release and letting go process. If anyone else has any comments, please feel free, or questions, please feel free to add them here. Okay, so let's recap these 4 steps. They're pretty straightforward. The first and foremost is that we want to really understand who we want to forgive, what emotions came up for us in that process. Then we make a decision to forgive them. Then the third step is that we let go of any anger or resentment through one of the process that I talked about: self-reflection, meditation, journaling, perhaps needing to go to a therapy. And then the fourth step is, how do we kind of send them love and compassion and empathy? Doesn't mean, again, that you have to rebuild the relationship. It doesn't even mean that you have to talk to them. It's just that you can send loving, healing energy kind of from the place and try to look at it from their perspective. So that's the 4 steps. Want you guys to know that forgiveness really is a journey. It's not always easy. These steps will take you through kind of any process. Some of the processes will be longer, some of them will be shorter, but this is kind of a general framework that you can use on your forgiveness journey. And so I'd really encourage you all to think about where forgiveness might be needed in your life. I think one aspect of forgiveness that we oftentimes don't think about, that I really encourage my clients to think about, is this real need to forgive ourselves, right? Especially for those of you who are joining, who are these high achievers, had lots of success in your life. You tend to be very hard on yourselves when things don't go as planned, when you get off track, and then you ruminate and you think about it. And so to the extent that you can forgive yourself and learn to have this beautiful grace with yourself, you're going to see, again, that you have more kind of high vibe, beautiful energy available to actually co-create the life that you're seeking with ease and flow. It won't seem as challenging. So definitely want to think about, where do I need to forgive myself? That for me was a critical aspect of my healing journey. And I try my very best to have a lot of grace with myself now. And I found that having grace with myself allows me to have more grace with other people. I'm not perfect at it, but it is an ever evolving thing for me. Okay. So just remember that letting go of negative emotions and cultivating positive ones really is the key to living a happy and fulfilled life, and that you guys got this. I always like to say that it's so important that we are prioritizing joy in our lives. This forgiveness journey will really allow you to increase the amount of joy in your life, increase the amount of happiness in your life. And imagine if we had 8 billion happy people in the world, what an amazing world it would be. So that's why I always like to end by sharing that changing the world is an inside job. If we all took care of ourselves, we would see kind of this cascading effect. So thank you for watching today's live. I have a busy week ahead of me where I will be on live both on Wednesday as well as Friday. So please check my socials to find out the exact times. And in the comments tomorrow, you'll see that I have a free webinar, Gratitude Unwrapped. We're going to talk about 5 aspects of gratitude that people don't oftentimes focus on, but it can really up-level your gratitude practice and allow you to more easily co-create your life and align with manifestation. So I am really excited to host that gratitude webinar tomorrow, and I will look forward to hearing from or seeing you guys at a later date. If you're watching this later and you have any questions or comments, go ahead and add them here because I will be able to answer them. We're always checking them, and I'll make sure that I get you an answer so that these lives can be as supportive as possible. Grateful to each of you for joining me. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying these informational lives. Bye now.